Welcome to the February 16th Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. As you know, our fearless leader is not here today. So as Vice Chair, I'm facilitating this meeting. Kelly, if you will please call the roll.
Mr. Robert Clark.
I'm here and I'm representing the mayor.
Okay. Ms. Adams is here. Mr. McIntosh.
Here.
Mr. Mike Brennan.
Present.
Mr. John Rogers.
Present, representing Mayor Rocket.
Mr. Mike Combest.
Here.
Mr. Ken Sadler.
Present, representing Mayor Mike Horn.
Ms. Jackie Edwards.
Here.
Mr. Marion.
Present.
Mr. Hutchins.
Yes, here.
And Mr. Perkins.
Present.
Did anybody else come while I was doing the roll?
I'm Michael Lane. I'm also here.
Okay.
Hey,
Down.
I'm Rick Morris and I'm here.
Okay.
I'm John Larson, and I'm not sure who I'm representing at this point, considering Winston-Salem's delegation is all shuffled around. But I'm an alternate. So if Winston-Salem needs a quorum, I'm here.
I think we're good, sir. Thank you. That concludes it.
Thank you, Kelly. We all know if you look at your agendas, the first item is the ethics awareness and conflict of interest statement. Kelly will be explaining that again at the end of the meeting because we need to get this done. As you know, this is to avoid TAC members having a conflict of interest. And the deadline is April, is it the 15th, Kelly?
That is correct, April 15th. Yes.
17th is the deadline this year.
We also have our next item is the public comment. And I was informed that there is someone who would like to make a comment / statement to this body. Please proceed.
Hello and good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak for a moment. My name is Kara Cody. I'm the executive director of the Workshop of Davidson. We are located in Lexington and we utilize 5310 transportation funding from Winston-Salem MPO for our Midway bus route. To tell you a little bit about the workshop, we have been providing direct support and residential services to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities since 1964. The services we provide allow special needs adults to have opportunities that build their self-sufficiency and ability to be active citizens within their community. We provide vocational training that allows our participants to earn a paycheck while they gain work and behavioral skills. And we offer life skills and activity-based programs that assist participants with personal care tasks that they cannot complete independently, life skills training, community integration, and the ability to socialize and be included. We also offer community integrated job coaching so that individuals can realize their goals of being gainfully employed. The reason I have come to tell you about our program is that we have recently applied again for 5310 grant funding for our transportation route. We want you to understand the importance of transportation funding to small programs like ours. We have very limited funds to make sure our routes are covered, so being awarded adequate 5310 funding is incredibly important in ensuring our programs can continue to operate and that the intellectually and developmentally disabled adults in our area are afforded a fair chance of receiving the services they need for their lives. We know that small providers have smaller ridership numbers and in some cases larger costs per trips than larger providers or public transportation routes. We just ask that you look at our riders and their needs as more than route numbers and ride costs and take into consideration that these are real people with exceptional needs, people that have already been marginalized in society and have to fight for their services on many levels. Transportation should not be another barrier they have to face. So please take the workshop at Davidson into great consideration while reviewing and making decisions on upcoming 53 funding applications. Again, I want to say thank you for allowing me to speak, and we thank you all for the great services you provide in the Winston-Salem MPO area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Cody, for being a part of the meeting and then being able to provide that statement. Kelly, we voted on the funding for this year, right? Or
We voted on the funding for last year, but we are in the middle of a call for this year. So the workshop of Davidson is still being considered for the call for this year.
all right. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Cody, and good luck to Workshop of Davidson and the work that you do. Kelly, if you're welcome, would you please call the next item?
Yes, ma'am. The next item would be the consideration of the January 24th meeting, the TAC meeting for January 24th.
If you all, I hope, have read the minutes for any edits or amendments or changes, if they're okay, may I have a motion for a vote, please?
I'd like to have one motion for to correct the minutes on page 1. Representative Willie Clark was listed twice as the member of attendees.
Okay. And the correction is?
Just to list him once.
Okay. So you're making a motion with the added changes?
Correct.
Second.
Kelly, would you please call for the vote?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Clark, Mr. Robert Clark.
Yes.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh,
Yes.
Mr. Brannon,
Yes.
Mr. John Rogers,
No vote. I wasn't here, so I can't attest to the accuracy of those meetings, but thank you.
Mr. Mike Combest,
Aye.
Mr. Bill Apple,
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lane,
Yes.
Mr. Ken Sadler,
I abstain.
and then Miss Jackie Edwards.
I was not at the last meeting.
Mr. Marion,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchins,
Yes.
and Mr. Andrew Perkins.
Yes.
I believe that concludes it.
So we had how many yays and how many abstentions or voted no? Was it 3?
Yes, I noted 3 abstentions.
Okay.
Rick Morris votes yes, too. I don't think you call my name.
Oh, Mr. Rick Morris. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Our next item, please, item 3. Hunter, I believe you have this one. You're on mute.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Adams. I believe we need to call a public hearing first.
That is correct.
And so do we have anyone here to speak on item number 3, the consideration of targets for safety performance measures established by the North Carolina Department of Transportation and amending the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan? Hearing none at this time. With your permission, I'd like to proceed into the item.
Yes, we will close the public hearing. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, and nice to see you members of the TAC. As I stated, the item before you is the consideration of safety performance measures established by the North Carolina Department of Transportation and amending the 2045 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Sometimes you will hear that this set of performance measures is called Performance Measure 1 or PM1. Per the Federal Highway Administration's Highway Safety Improvement Program final rule, North Carolina Department of Transportation must coordinate with MPOs of the state to establish safety targets. Every year, by February 27th, MPOs must adopt their own targets or agree to adopt the state's targets and plan and program projects in support of those targets. As in past years, our MPO will adopt the state's identified targets based on the state's Strategic Highway Safety Plan goal of reducing serious injuries and fatalities by 2035 from 2018. This corresponds to a 19.57% reduction in fatalities, a 20.95% reduction in fatality rate, 30.19% reduction in serious injuries, 31.75% reduction in the serious injury rate, and a 26.25% reduction in total non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. The percent reductions are for 5-year rolling averages from 2019 through 2023 as compared to 2017 to 2021, and represent the rate that would need to be achieved to reduce fatalities and injuries by half by 2035 and down to 0 by 2050. Because this item usually receives some questions, we have prepared a frequently asked questions document in the enclosed. And also in the enclosed, you will find a presentation from the North Carolina Department of Transportation explaining the targets and exploring safety trends in our state and MPO. NCDOT staff have had to reschedule this presentation, but they will be available to present at the March 16th, 2023 TAC. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Hunter. Does any of the body have any questions or comments? Hearing none and knowing that the presentation that we usually have with this will come back to us next month in March. Kelly, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am, we need to have a motion and a second.
Oh, sorry. I need a motion. Can I get a first, please?
Move approval, Clark.
Second,
Second.
McIntosh.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilmember Clark and Councilmember McIntosh. Maybe we have the vote called now.
Mr. Clark voted yes. Mr. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh voted yes. Mr. Mike Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. John Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Mike Combest?
Aye.
Mr. Bill Apple?
Aye.
Mr. Michael Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Ken Sadler?
Aye.
Miss Jackie Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Marion?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchins?
Yes.
Mr. Rick Morris?
Yes.
And Mr. Andrew Perkins?
Yes.
That concludes it.
Thank you. And the vote passes. Next item, please. Item 4.
Hello, good afternoon again, everyone. The item before you, agenda item number 4, is the consideration of the fiscal year 2020 through 2029 Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program amendments and modifications for the Winston-Salem urban area MPO. The MTIP is a subset of the Metropolitan Transportation Plan and reflects our planning area's projects that are programmed in the State Transportation Improvement Program. The attached item N is the December 2022 update to the STIP. This was available for public review and no comments were received during that time. Happy to take any questions on this item.
Thank you, Hunter. Are there any comments or questions from the body? May I have a motion for approval, please?
Move approval.
Second.
And don't forget to give your names,
Lane, second.
okay?
Winston-Salem made the motion.
Thank you. Kelly, may we please have the call for the vote? The roll call.
Ma'am. Mr. Robert Clark?
Yes, I'm unmuted.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Mike Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. John Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Mike Combest?
Aye.
Mr. Bill Apple,
Yes.
Mr. Michael Lane voted yes.
Yes.
I believe. Mr. Ken Sadler voted yes. Miss Jackie Edwards,
Yes.
Mr. Marion,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchins,
Excuse me, Kelly, whoever has their audio on, please mute. Thank you. Go ahead, Kelly.
Mr. Hutchins,
Yes.
Mr. Rick Morris, Mr. Morris, and Mr. Andrew Perkins.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the motion passes for item 5. Item 4. Next item, please.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, and good afternoon, TAC members. Item number 5 is consideration of a checklist certifying the Winston-Salem Urban Area MPO on our transportation planning process for fiscal year 2024. Federal transportation law requires that NCDOT and all MPOs annually certify to Federal Highway Administration and to the Federal Transit Administration that their transportation planning processes are addressing major issues of the urban area and are being conducted in compliance with applicable federal laws. To help with the certification, NCDOT provides us with a checklist, which is attached for your review. MPO staff went through this checklist and provided responses to each of the questions contained within. We believe that our MPO and our planning process is adequately addressing the issues of our urban area, and that we're conducting our planning processes in compliance with federal laws. This annual certification is in addition to a formal review that happens every 4 years, and the last of those formal reviews was in the fall of 2020. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this review. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Are there any questions or comments from the body? If not, may we have a motion of approval for item 5?
Move approval, Clark.
Perkins, second.
It's been moved and seconded by Councilmember Clark and Mr. Perkins. May we have the roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Clark voted yes. Ms. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh,
Yes.
Mr. Brannon,
Yes.
Mr. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Combest,
Aye.
Mr. Apple,
Aye.
Mr. Lane,
So,
Yes.
for the calendar year, we showed
Mr. Sadler?
revenue of $20,711,
Ms. Edwards,
and we showed a
Yes.
Mr. Marion,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchins,
Yes.
loss for the year of $900.
Mr. Morris,
Money, we would have been ahead by 25.
Yes.
and Mr. Perkins.
So it's just a timing issue there.
I second it, so yes, again.
Thank you.
The minor vice chair, that number is 0206 is whoever that's on that phone.
Thank you, Kelly.
I believe it's
thank
Mr.
you.
Morris.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Perkins. The motion passes. Maybe go ahead to item 6, and presenting will be Hunter again.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Adams. As you stated, the agenda item before you today is agenda item number 6. And that is the consideration of the fiscal year 2024 CMAQ and fiscal year 2022 CRP projects for the Winston-Salem Urban Area MPO. The Winston-Salem Urban Area MPO held a call for projects requesting proposals from member agencies for projects that will reduce on-road sources of emissions. Between the two programs, $2.75 million was available for allocation to projects that reduce emissions. The Winston-Salem Urban Area MPO awards, in order, the projects with the greatest emissions reduction potential, according to an analysis from the Forsyth County Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection. Following the withdrawal of a project, we are now able to fully fund all projects applied for as indicated in the table below. Those recommendations include full funding in the amount of $1.05 million to the town of Louisville for the Shallowford Road sidewalk improvements, $1.296 million to the NC 109 turn lane and signal project in Wahlberg, $172,800 for the Clemens Public Works Department purchase of electric vehicles and equipment, and $201,000 for the installation of a stoplight at the intersection of Holder Road and Louisville Clemens Road. The only modification since our last meeting was an amended funding request from the Village of Clemens on the EV and equipment purchase, requesting funding for an additional electric truck in light of the remaining funding available. Their emissions analysis was since modified accordingly. You will see in the attached funding table that $24,427 will remain unallocated after the approval of these projects. However, it is our understanding from conversations with NCDOT that there will be future cycles for submitting future carbon reduction program projects, and webinars about the carbon reduction program have indicated that MPOs may be able to combine multiple years of funding. In any case, future ability to allocate the remainder is anticipated at this time. With adoption of this resolution, the MPO will submit the recommended projects for CMAQ and CRP.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Brannon?
Yes.
Mr. John Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Combest?
Aye.
Mr. Apple?
Aye.
Mr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Sadler made the motion, I believe. So Ms. Edwards? The second, sorry. Ms. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Marion?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchins?
Yes.
Mr. Morris?
Yes.
And Mr. Perkins made the motion.
Amen.
And the motion passes. Thank you. We have 3 informational items, and I'm gonna go ahead and let staff, they're not gonna go in depth, but just to review what those 3 informational items will be when they come back at our next meeting for action. Hunter, would you please continue, and then Matthew will follow you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Adams. The item before you is the review of the fiscal year 2020 through 2029 MTIP amendments and modifications for the Winston-Salem Urban Area MPO. Once again, the MTIP is a subset of the Metropolitan Transportation Plan and reflects the planning area's projects programmed in the STIP, or State Transportation Improvement Program. The attached items N are for your review and are from the months of January and February, and are the updates to the STIP that have been made by NCDOT and those made at the request of the MPO. This is currently out for public review, and so far no comments have been received, but we will keep everyone posted. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you. Next item, please, Hunter.
Yes, ma'am. We're moving on to item number 8, which is the review of targets for Performance Measure Rule 2 and Performance Measure Rule 3 and amending the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. PM2, or Performance Measure 2, relates to the state's goals for interstate and NHS, or National Highway System, pavement and bridge condition. PM3 relates to the travel time reliability of the interstate and NHS, including truck and freight travel time reliability, as well as emissions reduction targets from CMAQ projects. As with PM1, MPOs have the choice between setting their own targets or adopting the state's targets and agreeing to plan and program projects that contribute toward the accomplishment of the state's targets for pavement, bridge, system, freight, and CMAQ performance. Adoption of the resolution in March will amend our MTP and adopt the 2- and 4-year targets as shown in the enclosed table. Enclosed also is an informational presentation from NCDOT regarding each of the targets and the rationale for them. The item is currently out for public review and will have completed the 30-day public review period by the time our March meeting comes around. I'll be happy to answer any questions on this one as well.
Thank you. Matthew.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem Adams, City Council, and members of the TAC. Agenda item 9 is review of an update to the transit performance measures and targets in the Transit Asset Management Plan for the Winston-Salem Transit Authority to be incorporated into the Winston-Salem Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization 2045 MTP. MPOs are required to develop and report transit targets as noted in Title 23, Section 134 in the United States Code. Per the final rule on transit asset management, MPOs must coordinate with transit providers to set TAM performance targets and integrate them within their planning documents. WISTA first adopted its TAM plan on October 18th, 2018, and it was then updated in January 2020. Since 2020, the TAM plan has met all requirements involving targets, measures, and prioritizations. WISTA is bringing the TAM plan updates for approval, so it may present its updates as part of the FY23 triennial review process. Amendments to the MTP require a 30-day comment period, which will be held from February 13th to March 15th, 2023, and a public hearing will be held during the March 16th, 2023 TAC meeting. I'm happy to take any questions on this.
Are there any questions or comments? Again, these items will come to our next meeting. If not, as you know, in your agenda, you have staff reports. There are 10. Are there any reports that any of the body would like to be heard at this time? Okay. If not, if there's anything else, Kelly, remind everybody again about the ethics certification, please.
Yes, ma'am. Just a reminder to everybody to go ahead and complete their ethics forms. They are due by April 17th. Otherwise, you may be fined up to $500 by the federal government. So just a reminder, I'm here to help. If you need any assistance to log on and do it online, it doesn't take very long. And like I said, I'm ready to help. Just give me a call, shoot me an email, and I'll be right there to help. So.
And all of you know, if we don't do this, we're going to have to ante up $500. So again, make sure you get those the forms filled out. And again, Kelly and the staff will be willing to help in any way they can. Our next meeting is March the 16th, and our fearless leader will be back by then. If there are no questions, comments for the good of the order.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Madam Chair, this is Dan Bessie. I have been quietly monitoring the meeting today. I didn't get in touch in time to join officially, but I've just been appointed as the Forsyth County representative to TAC and look forward to working with all of you again.
And thank you, Commissioner Bessie. We all know that your tenure on the TAC is long and stellar, probably longer than most of us on this meeting. But welcome back, because you bring a wealth of knowledge, institutional knowledge and history of the TAC to our MPO. Thank you. Look forward to hearing from you next month. If there are no other comments or voices to be heard, this meeting is adjourned.